Hello, this is Ed Keay-Smith from onlineimpact.com.au. Thank you for joining us on the Business Marketing Show today. We have a special guest, someone who I've known for 4.5 years now, believe it or not, Frances Blackie. Now, Frances is from Forward Rewarding Databases, which is her business that she runs, and she is a accredited Zoho partner and Zoho apps expert. So we've got her in here today to discuss using databases for your marketing, for your business, in particular Zoho, which is an extremely popular platform. So welcome, Frances, for coming on the show. How are you?
I'm great, thanks, Ed. Thanks so much for having me.
You're welcome. Now, Frances is based in Perth, but at the moment, at the time of this recording, you're in Singapore. So
absolutely
enjoying the lovely humid weather of Singapore, which I've got to say is much more exciting than the cold winter of Perth at the moment. So if you want to swap, if you want to come back, I'll go over there.
Yeah, no, thanks. I'll take the humidity over the rain and wind any day.
So I was reflecting, as I said, that we've known each other for almost 4.5 months. Sorry, 4.5 years. It seems like
That's
4.5
right.
months, but yeah, that's scary. That's gone past pretty quick. So your background is in marketing. That's what you have been doing for many years. So how did you get involved? Give us a bit of a backstory that led up to you working with clients with Zoho. How did that all come about?
Well, I worked, although I have a marketing degree, actually a fashion marketing degree, I actually ended up going into real estate before I left the UK. I was working in that for 5 years. And I was kind of managing a boutique agency, but they had about 1,200 properties around the country. And I got really involved in managing the software side of the business, and basically taking vendors and connecting them to buyers and making sure that all of their requirements were listed on the portal so that you could match the property. And when I came over to Australia and started working in the SME space, I was looking for similar platforms that provided that same functionality, a CRM essentially. And at the time, that just wasn't something, this is 6 years ago, it just wasn't something that people were doing in the SME space. Everyone was still very much caught up with spreadsheets and Outlook. So I started looking around to see whether I could find something that performed that same functionality that I'd been used to in real estate, but helped the business that I was working with at the time. And I just stumbled across Zoho. So I actually ended up implementing that for their business. And then, you implement it for the clients of that business, and then they tell their friends, and then before you know it, you've just fallen into a business. That's pretty much how it happened.
Okay. So there's people who are listening to this and watching this who have seen what Zoho is. They're currently maybe using Zoho, but there's probably quite a lot of people that have no clue what it is. So can you give us in a nutshell description of what Zoho actually is?
Well, Zoho itself is a suite of software applications, and that covers pretty much every area of your business model, from sales to marketing, finance, recruitment, project management, the list goes on. But predominantly, it was originally known for the CRM system, which stands for Customer Relationship Management. And this is essentially, it helps you to manage your database, but it also helps you to manage a whole host of other aspects that help you day-to-day running your business, whether that is task management or meeting management, just generally associating notes with contacts, progressing contacts through a sales pipeline, managing opportunities. It really performs a range of different functionalities within the business. So initially, that's the area of the business that we got into. But now, 6 years on, Zoho are developing new applications at the rate of knots, and we've become whole business consultants essentially, or software architects, if you like. We go into a business and we look at their entire business model, all of their systems, all of their processes, right from the very first touch point with a prospect, all the way through to conversion, and then how they continue to support them and market to them going forward. and Zoho supports with that entire process. Our job is to look at what software applications they're already using in the business that need to integrate into the solution that we're providing, or whether the solution that we're providing can replace some of those applications and therefore reduce their monthly software costs.
Okay, so who would you say is the typical business that should be using something like Zoho? Because there's a wide variety of other similar tools out there that some people may be using a bit of this, they may be using a bit of that. And yeah. I think it's often a great opportunity if there's something that can do it all in one. So what sort of businesses are you mainly dealing with around Zoho?
Well, I think there's a common misconception that you have to be of a certain size in order to use a CRM tool. You know, I hear from people, we're too small to use a CRM, and that is absolutely not true. Essentially, anybody that is running a business needs a CRM. It is physically impossible to retain all of the information about your prospects and your clients in your head. Even if you've only got a handful of clients, there's still so much information that you're gleaning from them, so much communication, correspondence that you're having with them. There's just no way that you can keep that in your head. So it really is a way to get yourself organized and be more productive. So I'd say anybody from a single person operator right the way up should be looking at a solution. And we're dealing with a really broad range of people that are in the B2B sector, B2C, and a huge range of industries. And Zoho is now positioning itself to move more into the ERP space. Now, they don't promote themselves as being such, but we are moving into looking after people who are manufacturing and shipping and need to manage that full process from end to end.
Okay, now excuse my ignorance. ERP, what does that stand for?
Sorry, I did mean to elaborate. Enterprise Resource Planning.
Okay.
So basically looking at all of the resources across the business, planning how they're going to be utilized throughout the entire business process.
Okay, fantastic. So can you give us a couple of examples? You don't have to name companies, but the types of some of the recent companies you've been working with that are using Zoho?
So we're working with a company that are operating in 20 different countries. They have 4 different offices across the globe, operating in 5 different currencies, and they're selling a widget.
Okay.
So in order to sell that widget, they need to produce it, or manufacture it, which is all being done in Australia. Then they need to ship it from Australia to their 4 offices. And then they need to ship it from those offices to their clients. And they obviously need to handle the sales process along the way. And there's complexities in that sometimes their client might be a different person who pays for the product as the one that receives the product. And the person that pays for it might need to receive different information about the accounting process. So the system needs to take in all of the complexities of this business model, and they've been handling this in a kind of manual way, a very labor-intensive way. It's taken up a lot of administration time, and we're now helping to streamline and automate every aspect of that process wherever possible, and then integrating it with their accounting solution as well. So the time that it's going to save their team, it's a person's job.
Yeah, totally. And I think implementing something like Zoho can be a game changer for a lot of companies because, as you say, they're trying to do a lot of these processes manually. They're dropping the ball a lot with the way they're doing it and trying to keep things in their head. So I think there tends to be a lot of misconceptions about what it costs to get involved in using something like this. And I was actually quite surprised, particularly looking at the Zoho One package that's available. I was pleasantly surprised about the costings involved in using this. And I use a lot of different software tools, software as a service, software as a platform. And for me to try and put all of those different services and tools together on my own, if I had to try and get a software coder or a developer to produce something like that, it'd be insanely expensive. Whereas for $30 here and $50 here, and I know all these things add up. If you've got 10 different things using, but it's still considerably cheaper than trying to get something custom made. So give us some ballpark ideas on sort of, you know, low end entry cost of what it's involved. And I'm not including, this is not talking about your consulting fees, just the cost of Zoho, because they're two different things. So
absolutely.
What sort of pricings are we looking at for Zoho for some of the smaller businesses that may be watching?
Yeah, well, typically, like most software platforms, Zoho have had a free version of the software. You know, their starting price for the CRM was $12 per user per month. And then most of my clients were using the $20 per user per month price just for the CRM component. But you mentioned Zoho One, and this is has been a real game changer for Zoho. They released this last year, and it's something that Sridhar, the CEO, has been pushing for years, actually. But they've been just trying to figure out how they can make it work within their business model. And what they've done is they've released this package that allows you to access every single app within the Zoho suite. And that is, when I say app, I mean platform, not mobile app.
Yeah.
And each platform in itself is a market leader and stands alone as a really solid product. So they're not just bolt-ons, they are really substantial products. The price point for that is $35 per user per month. And that allows you to access absolutely everything and the top level package in each of the different individual applications. So they're not scrimping you on functionality. You get absolutely everything. And to give you an idea, the top level enterprise package for the CRM, that was $45 on its own. So you're paying $35 and you get access to everything. But the deal is, and this is where they've created a slightly different position in the marketplace, is that the reason that they've made this package available is that they don't want small businesses to scrimp on software. They don't want them to look at their monthly software bill and go, oh, well, we can afford our accounting platform, but we can't really afford a project management platform, even though we need it. So we'll just go with what we can afford. They want businesses to have access to all of the software that they need to grow, to sustain, and to really make their business a success. So, but the deal is that in order for you to become a Zoho One customer, you need to have all of your computer-using employees on the platform.
Okay.
So if you have 10 members, if you employ 10 people and all of them are using computers, then all of those people must be on the platform. You can't just pay for 2 user licenses. That's how it works.
Okay, so that is the caveat with that one. So, and look, and that's fair enough. If you have people who are using the system, it's still for larger companies. I mean, if you've got 10 or 15 or 20 staff, then paying that $35, and I'm assuming that's US dollars, or is it Australian dollars we're talking?
No, that's Australian dollars.
Australian dollars. Well, that's even crazier then, because that's so,
isn't it?
Yeah. So, in terms of these types of software platforms, and this is in my experience, most people would probably use 5, 10, maybe 15% of the total capacity of what a lot of these tools can do. So your job is to help guide people through getting the most out of Zoho. Would that be a correct positioning point for you, and guiding people through that?
Yeah.
Because just going and anyone can go and sign up for the software and get on, but that's only the starting point of the whole process. You need someone to help get it set up. I mean, there's no doubt that people will go and work it all out and set it up themselves. But typically I think it's a time versus task scenario where they've got someone who's spending lots of time trying to learn how to get it set up. And it doesn't matter how easy any piece of software is. It's if you can get someone in to implement it and show you all of the things that you would probably trip over as you're going along, that's where someone like you comes along, correct?
That's exactly right. But it's just like anything, though, in business ed. I mean, if you wanted to, you could learn how to set up a website. I mean, not you, because obviously you know, but other people from scratch go onto Udemy or YouTube, and they could watch videos about how to create a WordPress website. Or they could do the same for their accounting and bookkeeping as well. You know, we all have the ability to learn each other's jobs. But the thing is that you can spend months, and I have known people that have spent a huge amount of time and energy that they could be getting paid doing their own time in their own business, what they specialize in and what they enjoy, rather than getting frustrated trying to understand how to do something that consultants do every single day, day in, day out, and can do in a fraction of the time for the kind of fees that they would be earning in their own business if they were utilizing that time delivering their own services.
Yeah, I truly believe that it is a false economy to do that type of thing. And we have the same with our AdWords consulting, and we've been doing that for 15 years now. And back in the day when we first started doing AdWords, it was nowhere near as complex as it is now. Now it's a minefield. We have trouble keeping up with it, and we're in it all the time. They're changing things left, right, and center. And there's just been a huge update being changed from Google AdWords to Google Ads, and the interface has changed. And those sorts of things we're across. So a client who thinks that they can just come in and use any software tool straight off the bat without having a learning curve, I think they're kidding themselves. So they've got to make the decision. Is their time worth spending 30 or 50 hours or whatever the time is to get familiar and learn all the ups and downs of how that piece of software works? Because there's no perfect piece of software out there. They all have their idiosyncrasies, don't they? So, So look, now I think it's important for people to keep this sort of stuff in mind, because it's one of the challenges with any business when they're starting, that they have to deal with this sort of stuff. So if you can get this right from the start, particularly if you're in a startup position, it's a lot easier going forward. I mean, look, there's no rule saying, you know, you could be running a business for 10 years and you haven't done this. There's nothing to say you then now can't go and get it corrected. And it will probably...
it's never too late.
Yeah, and it will make your life a lot better. So what changes have you seen in the industry in terms of databases that are available? Has it become a lot easier for the end user, do you think?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, Zoho have 40 million users now, almost 40 million users worldwide.
That's huge.
So, yeah, it is. Yeah, they've their rate of growth has been absolutely phenomenal, especially when you compare them against the big brands in the market like Microsoft Dynamics and Salesforce. They've been an underdog for a number of years now, but they're really coming up behind, and especially with the release of Zoho One, they've really positioned themselves as being a leading brand now. So one of the things that we do is help people to maximize the software. Like you said, Zoho or CRM typically, has that struggles from a user adoption rate. This is typical of any CRM across the board. And one of the reasons for that is that people just log on and start using the software. And they will maybe make a couple of runs on the board. They might make a couple of adjustments to the platform, but they never really have it customized to support their business model. And as a result of that, they're constantly working around the software rather than the software working for them. And it's hard enough to get your employees to enter information into a system as it is. It becomes 10 times harder if there's a load of information in there that's irrelevant to them, that they consider to be useless or annoying in order to have to enter. So our job is to make sure that everything that you're seeing in the system is 100% relevant to you and that it supports your process. So if you're dealing with customers or suppliers, you're entering information that's relevant to the particular contact that you're dealing with, or the particular point that they're at in your sales process or onboarding process, that you're only ever seeing what you need to see on the screen at any moment in time. And I think that's one of the things that has been a big change in the way the software is handled, is that people understand that UI or user interface is almost as important as functionality. And so we're always looking at our systems and figuring out how we can make it more streamlined, more simple in what you see and how you work it.
Fantastic. So there's people who are watching this, listening to this, who are thinking, okay, what do I do now? They may be using some other software that they're not happy with. They're looking at changing over. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe on on your website you offer a free consultation, a 60-minute call. Is that correct?
Yeah, we do, absolutely. And we actually spend most of that time just understanding your business model. Rather than, we obviously want to understand what existing applications you're using. And our job is not necessarily to convince you away from them. So as an example, a lot of our target market is using applications like Xero or Microsoft 365 for their emails and calendar. Mm-hmm. Now, Zoho has an alternative solution for each of those applications, but our job is not to say, if you work with us, you can only use Zoho applications. Yeah. If anything, Zoho is extremely friendly with the marketplace. It has a lot of off-the-shelf integration solutions so that you can easily integrate your Gmail, as an example, or your Outlook account. And we will happily set those integrations up for our customers. But if they're not set on a platform and they're open to looking at other alternatives, Zoho has a solution to support them and offer the same functionality in each of those different areas. So as an example, a lot of our customers have been using MailChimp for their email marketing, and we've migrated across to Zoho campaigns, because from their perspective, functionality is the same, the user interface is really similar, and it makes no difference for them, but it makes it easier from an integration perspective to continually update all of your different marketing lists by having it connected to Zoho CRM.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. So look, it's worth, and just to be clear, I'm not sponsored by Zoho or by yourself. You're on here because I think it's an important thing.
By Zoho either.
No,
I think people presume we are. We choose to work with Zoho because we genuinely believe it is a fantastic product and it services the businesses that we want to work with. But we're not directly employed by them either.
Yeah, okay, that's good to know. So look, so what we'll do is we will put a link to your website in the show notes. But people who are listening or watching, what's the best way that they can contact you? What's your web address?
It is forward, which is spelled FWRD CRM.com. And we happily do a 60-minute consult with anybody to go through their business model, look at their systems and processes, and give them an indication as to how we would address that from a solution perspective.
Fantastic. And look, it's one of those things, 60 minutes is a chunk out of your time. And if someone feels they're going to get the benefit, then they'll take the next step. But that you don't know until you have the conversation. And I know Frances, she's not a high pressure sales person. You can tell that just by listening. She's not going to put the thumb screws on you. Well, not that I know of. Maybe.
No, it's all about communication. One of the things I always say when I'm doing workshops is, if you don't know what you don't know. And when it comes to software, the marketplace is changing so quickly.
Absolutely.
Just like you, we're keep up with the developments that are happening within the Zoho universe as well. So our role is to make sure that our clients are up to speed with any changes and developments that are going to affect them in a positive way. But yeah, filling the blanks basically for the don't know what you don't know is what we do, especially in those early stages. And we do our consultations just like this over Zoom. So we support a worldwide client base, and you don't even need to leave your office or your home.
Fantastic. And that means you get to stay in Singapore in the nice warm weather and not be here in the cold. Right. So that works out best for everybody.
Winter, indeed.
So thank you again, Frances, for taking the time to come on the show. Greatly appreciated. Good to see you again. Take Frances up on her offer. Nothing to lose. Have a chat, see what happens. But it could be a very important change in your business to improve your client relationships and managing all of those different processes, plus all the additional tools and services available within Zoho One if you go that way. So thanks very much, everyone, for tuning in to the show. Greatly appreciated. And thank you again, Frances.
Thanks, Ed.
We'll catch you soon. Bye for now.